We are back. We are live on UrbanNationRadio.com at the 2014 Detroit Jazz Festival. And as you can see, we are joined in the broadcast booth by some very, very special guests. We have the legendary Congressman John Conyers as well as Mark Schauer. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. How you doing?
Pleasure.
Doing great.
Very good. And we can judge by the response that you've gotten by the crowd today. We even had to delay the start a little bit because people were coming up and shaking hands and wanting to introduce themselves.
Even a 9-year-old recognized Mr. Schauer, who he was, and that just goes to show that he's out here visible to people in Michigan right now, and that's what we need. I think we need to change. I'm for Schauer for sure. We're just trying to take a shower all these politics that's hurting people, man. The average Joe need a chance.
That's right.
Well, thank you.
Mark, you're running for governor.
Yes.
Tell us what you have to offer the people of Michigan. What you do as governor?
Well, first, we need an economy in a Michigan that works for everyone, not just for a few, but everyone. I mean, today's the day before Labor Day, and I'll be back here tomorrow morning. It was the labor movement, it was the auto industry, it was Detroit that built the middle class in this state. So we need great jobs, but jazz and the quality of our communities and really matter to attracting people, investment. I mean, what we're here doing today is part of the lifeblood of our state. And so I'm all about supporting Detroit when I'm governor, being a true partner to the city and helping to bring Detroit back, make sure there are good jobs, there are safe neighborhoods, and we rebuild our infrastructure. And all of these things point to jobs. And that's bottom line, jobs that pay, too.
Very good. If you're just joining us, if you're just walking by, we're speaking with gubernatorial candidate Mr. Mark Schauer. Tell us the importance. There we go. Yeah.
Jazz aficionados for Schauer. How's that?
Right.
All right. We'll put that on a sticker.
Speaking of jazz aficionados, I'm doing a jazz event for the Congressional Black Caucus at the end of September in Washington because I think our contribution to music in America is the African American contribution of jazz as a music now celebrated all over the world. Everybody's into jazz nowadays, but we started it, and it has a great history in Detroit. Kenny Burrell, for example, and there are many others. You don't know how many nights I spent at the Bluebird Inn and the Paradise Theater watching Duke Ellington and Count Basie and his band, Dizzy Gillespie, and my two favorites, I've got to mention them, Miles Davis and John Coltrane. And they're celebrated now by lots of people.
We need to keep that music culture alive in the city of Detroit. So when I'm governor, will you take me to some of those places, Congressman?
Oh, gosh. Some of them are closed, but there are some new ones that are
Yes,
are
some of the
up.
new ones.
I'd like for you to get into it, but Schauer, as a congressman, always supported the Congressional Black Caucus. And as the dean of the Black Caucus, I always appreciated that very much.
Thank you, Congressman.
We're live at the 35th Annual Detroit Jazz Festival, man. It's UrbanNationRadio.com is in the building. We have Senator John Conyers, also Governor Hopeful, and I hope, Mark Schauer is in the building. That's right, 35th Annual Jazz Festival.
All right.
Going down right now. Listen, Mr. Schauer, I want to ask you a question. I always thought about this because I'm from Saginaw. I think I asked you this before we met. But I want to know, how can we bridge the gap between the western part of Michigan and Detroit and also the northern part of Michigan with Detroit and make this one healthy Michigan?
A governor should lead, and I'm going to use my bully pulpit in every way possible. And one area I'm going to do that is to convey to everyone, and I want to let you know my wife's a Youper, okay? So convey to everyone that we are all Michiganders, and we are all in this together. You know, wherever we travel, you know, and I think this point is relevant for Saginaw or even the small urban community of Battle Creek, where I live, is when we say we're from Michigan, they say you're from Detroit. So for Michigan to be strong, Detroit must be strong. For Michigan to be strong, Saginaw must be strong. Pontiac must be strong. And the reality is about a lot of our urban cities is there has been a total lack of an urban policy, which has resulted in city after city and school district after school district in financial crisis. and then these unelected emergency managers are set in, which is not a healthy way to approach rebuilding our cities and rebuilding our local economies. So we got to get our fundamentals right, but I'm going to make sure I preach the gospel that we are all in this together.
That's the kind of governor we need. That's the kind of governor we need that hooks us all up. You know, we're all in this together.
That's right.
No matter whether you're in Saginaw or Pontiac or Detroit, we need one person at the head of this state that is thinking about all of us in terms of jobs, of justice, and peace in our country and in our state.
I mean, when we saw, again, we're on the eve of Labor Day when Right to Work for Less was passed. And I'm a union member, very proud of that, and was on the front lines of the Right to Work protest at the Capitol. I got pepper sprayed in the process. That was not about jobs. That was an attack on working people, attack on collective bargaining. I mean, we need policies that actually raise the standard of living in our state, that bring labor and management together. When we look at Congressman Conyers and I were there with the president at a very important time when we rescued the auto industry. And we see the benefits here, but it was the UAW and the car companies together, working together. And so we need to bring people together rather than tear us apart.
Absolutely. And I've got a question for both of you, both of your input on this. Talk a little bit to the voters who are not registered, or not voters, but people who are not registered to vote. How much of an influence can they have on this race this year?
Well, it's going to be determinative. And, it's amazing to me. I can remember when we were fighting like the Dickens to get the right to vote.
Right.
And now there are people that kind of say, well, yeah, I'm for voting. But voting is the key to a democratic society.
That's right.
And that's why I think it's the most important duty that every citizen has. And it's not a matter of voting the way I want you to vote. It's a matter of you understanding where your best interest lies and you voting the way you think you would like to see the governor's job and the congressman's job and the mayor's job run.
To me, I try to never miss an election. And when you think about it, this principle in our democracy that everyone's vote counts the same as another person's no matter what. So you could be a minimum wage earner or have no job, have nothing. Your vote counts the same as the wealthiest person in this state. Talk about power. And when we look at what's happening to our schools, this pension tax, right to work for less, an economy that may work for a few but isn't working for most people. I mean, I think if folks think about it, these are issues that matter to them. So one of the things we have to do, though, is make voting easier. We've got this arcane system where it's on a Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's hard for people to use the absentee ballot. It's very restrictive. One of the things I want to do when I'm governor, and I actually talk about this in my jobs plan because it's relevant to building a strong, healthy Michigan, is we've got to make it easier for people to vote, not harder.
UrbanNationRadio.com. We're live, 35th Annual Detroit Jazz Festival.